Right, now let's discuss this further with Professor Jacob Mofokeng. He's the head of TUT's Department of Safety and Security Management. Prof, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Of course, the point that the General makes in terms of the different periods when it comes to lockdown and restrictions then is a valid point. But it still doesn't mean that South Africa has better policing or that policing has improved. It's still an indictment on society and police that we need such harsh restrictions, for our crime levels to go down.
Good day, Masiko, and your viewers. Well, indeed, we realized that what the commissioner submitted today showed that there's been a general increase in crimes, in all top categories in the Gauteng province. Well, if one looks at the crime statistics released by the South African Police Service, one will notice that not much difference can be recorded in terms of during all levels, during COVID-19 as well as from, beginning of 2021. So the second quarter, provided us with a very dark picture indicating that law enforcement, South African Police Service is not really doing well in terms of dealing with all these categories of crimes. So if you notice, as indicated, that there's an increase of 19% in Gauteng, and when you look at national, murder has been increased by 13.6%, whereas sexual offenses by 11% and attempted, murder, around 19.4%. So, and you also look at rape, which has increased by 10.8%, sexual, assault by 8.1%. It points a picture that, there needs to be something that the South African Police Service, especially in Gauteng, that has to come up with really working mechanism to deal with the contact crimes as well as other categories of crime. So you look at the issues around crime scenes, how the police are processing crime scene, which will eventually link to the conviction of perpetrators. You still see that we are really not doing that well. And that has really brought clean pictures to the viewers as well as those that are affected by crime to say that the South African Police Service really is not doing that well. And when you look at the model of the South African Police Service and the members, they will indicate that they are so committed to the South African Police Service, but the allocation of resources is something that is quite challenging because we have fewer vehicles to respond to the scene of crime. We have, an outdated, crime scene technician tools that needs to be able to be utilized at the crime scene. So for that reason, then we see that there's so much increase in contact crimes as well as other related categories.
Yeah.
And one of such, you look at carjacking, which has increased by 23.6%, and on robberies.
Yeah, and Prof, what I'm interested in is, of course, since last year, the police decided to, add the category of kidnapping, which is something that we all knew was quite serious. But this time we get to see the statistics as they release them. And what I'm noticing in terms of Gauteng is that when it comes to kidnapping, the places or districts that are prevalent are Vosloorus, Johannesburg Central, and Tembisa. Now, Vosloorus and Tembisa are both on the East Rand. What can we attribute this to? Why is the East Rand where hijackings, kidnappings that happen for the purposes of hijacking, etc. Why does it happen particularly in that part of the province?
Well, one of the factors that might contribute to the spike of, hijacking in that particular East Rand, it will be these people, before they commit crimes, they look at the special areas, that if they commit certain crimes, will they be able to,
escape.
To be able, to move away from the law enforcement without really being detected. So That also, the arrangement in terms of the exit routes, it will be easier for them to be able to move away from law enforcement agencies, and also the hideaway, locations where they will be able to, to move away from the police and hide. So those are some of the factors that might have contributed that we find that particular modus operandi in the East Rand. So we are aware that criminals, before they commit crimes, of course they plan and as well as look at the advantages as well as the disadvantages, that in case that there is a pursuit by the police, what are the likelihood that they will be able to get away without being, arrested. So these are the things that one will need to be looked at, when the police are doing their planning, to check that are there any factors that contribute to that kind of behavior by the criminals to be able to operate mainly around those particular areas in the East Rand.
I guess it's because the East Rand, also like the West Rand, has a lot of mines, disused mines included, as well as your manufacturing buildings, etc. So I guess when you say hideout spots, that's what makes it a bit easier as well. But we've also seen that a lot of serial rapists, especially this year, that have been going to court, some of them even sentenced already, are operating in that particular area as well, the East Rand. So there's a lot of concern then when it comes to the East Rand. So why aren't police probably just making sure that they have more resources going that way?
Well, there's been really an increase in terms of the arguments that there needs to be a unit that is dedicated, to deal with that kind of crimes, especially around those areas. So it remains to be seen, the response of the South African Police Service, if it will be able to hit out to, to those cries from the community to say that perhaps now the evidence has pointed that, East Rand is a hotspot of crimes, as well as what you have indicated, that everyone then will commit crimes around that particular area and then go and make use of those abandoned mines. So what we are saying here is that there's a need and for the establishment of a specialized unit that will be able to target those particular areas as well as patrol those areas.